Hello, everyone, and welcome to the second episode of Do Not Worry. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button to stay informed on our future episodes. For today's episode, I'm joined by our co-founder, Erwin van der Vlist, and our CRO, Lennart Gijsen. How you guys doing?
Good.
Awesome. Couldn't be better.
Sounds good. So let's dive straight into the questions. My first question around crisis communications is, how do you handle uncertainty?
Well, that's almost the most toughest question you can give me there, Robbie. Thanks for that. I know our audience is giving it to us, so that's great. I think it's I can speak to this actually even from my personal experience that as a leader, it's actually quite hard to understand how people are struggling, or if they're struggling with uncertainty and how they're struggling. So there are definitely times throughout my career where I feel there wasn't too much distance between what we are doing as a leadership team and what's happening in the field, so to say. And I think that is one of the things that I together with the leadership team at Speakap, we try to identify, and then I try to understand the impact of it. So meaning, is this uncertainty, is it like happening to a certain business unit, or is it a certain team, or is it individual driven? Because I think it will allow us to make better decisions about what to do with uncertainty. And so if we then talk about making decisions, I try to get this input from the organization, from within the organization, and then I bring it into the leadership team. And that happens actually, I see my fellow leadership team members do the same thing. And then as we are talking about this feedback, which happens in our case on a weekly basis, we try to, of course, understand the problem. And then as we are thinking about making decision, we try to put the core values that we have at Speakap, we try to put them at the core of what we do. So one of our core values, for instance, is trust. And we want to make you feel trusted at Speakap, whatever you do. So if we then communicate these decisions that we have to make around perhaps uncertainty or addressing uncertainty of people, what we're trying to do is communicate it in such way where we're keeping those core values at the center of our communication, so that people can recognize what's going on and can feel right at home, even during uncertainty.
Great, awesome. And so what I'm hearing is identify the problem, measure its impact, get I would say a pulse or some understanding from the employees themselves on the situation, collaboration with leaders, and then bringing it back to your core values to make a decision. Is that right?
Yeah, so that people can recognize and feel really at home as you're making decisions that you need to make, how tough they might be.
That's great. Thank you for that. So my second question is for both of you. Would you advise to respond to negative messages or negative questions that you receive from your employees? And if so, who is the best person in the organization to answer those questions?
Yeah, I would say yes. Because see those questions as almost like gifts. It's a presence from your employees that they feel trusted and they feel that they are in a safe environment to spread those negative questions. So I would always definitely answer to them in a proactive and also in a understanding manner. So don't try to prove otherwise. Try to learn from those negative questions, draft a response, and that response can actually be given by anyone of the company. And I think if you can get to that phase that anyone would answer those questions, that's where you as a company will really learn and improve over time from.
Absolutely, and that goes back to the question itself. I think from what I've heard, again, not to look at it as a negative question, right? Looking at it as more through the lens of this is an opportunity for me as a leader or for anyone in the organization to do better, to seek to understand from those types of questions.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So the last question that I have for you guys is, how do you protect your employees as you start making difficult business decisions?
Yeah, so I think what I try to do here is, and it's hard. It's easy to say, but hard to do in companies, and that is please no bullshit. I think that is the one thing that's step one for me, as always, whatever decision or whatever communication we need to do. Then the second step is much more about yourself, and that's for me always like I'm trying to stay cool, trying to use my brains, because I think that's where I want to depend. But there's always fear in my brains telling me and being the wrong advisor, so to say. So I have to make sure that I don't listen to that wrong advisor. And then I go back. We go back to like step 3 for me, and that's much more about, okay, keeping step 1 and 2 like in the back of your mind, no bullshit, and staying cool, so to say. Then I think you can protect you can protect employees even when the truth is brutally honest. And because the fact is, you cannot always protect everybody in an organization when you have to make tough business decisions. But I think you can be very respectful about your decisions, and give people space, so to say, when you have to make those tough decisions.
Yeah, maybe also be proactive on it and upfront as much as you can. It's not always possible, but if you can, you should do that.
Great. So that's it for the questions. And we're going to wrap up this episode the same way that we did the last episode, which is playing the 30s game, which again is still decently new to me. This is the second time I'm playing it. Are you guys both familiar on the rules of how to play?
Yes, of course.
So basically, I'm going to be describing some words that were given to me. Some of them I believe are English words. Some of them I think are Dutch terms and words. I will do my best. All right, so everyone, there's only 5 words, and this is the first word. We're going to start the timer now. You go to this business establishment to buy food.
Supermarket. Grocery.
Perfect. You got it. Supermarket. It's another word for cell phone. It's your
smartphone.
Personal
phone.
Mobile phone. Think security for SaaS platforms. It's very important in Europe, mostly in Europe.
GDPR.
Perfect. You got it. He's the mayor of New York City.
De Blasio.
You got it. And the last one, it's a food. It's round, has a hole in it.
Donut.
You got it. Wow, we did a lot better on this one than episode 1.
Oh, so we beat Annelies and Andrea.
Yeah, they only got 1 word, but part of that was my fault. Some of the words were in Dutch. I couldn't even read them.
I'll still take this one. That's fine. I'll take
That's good. Take the win. So thank you so much to both of you, Erwin and Lennart, for joining me today to share your experience as leaders. And for our viewers, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on our next episodes of Do Not Worry and our related content. Also, feel free to share your questions, comments, and feedback, anything you want to share with us right here. We'll dedicate our last episode especially for them. So thank you again, everybody, and see you next time.